today. I'm very moved by your speech, Sharon. Thank you very much. Sharon and myself met 8 years ago, and the Department of Justice invited organisations in Ireland who were addressing the issue of violence in many ways to some event in Europe. I can't remember what the event was, but I do remember ending up sitting beside Sharon. And we seemed to hit it off already, or immediately, and we got straight into how we might organise men and women working together to tackle the issue of violence and the issue of violence against women. Safe Ireland, which is the national network of women's refuges, led out in this since then and encouraged us to go to further similar events, including one with Jackson Katz, who's written a book called The Mako Paradox, which talks very clearly about men and men's ability to take on this issue and to work with women towards ending violence against women. The Safe Ireland and the Rape Crisis Network have had a long relationship, and so Safe Ireland brought us together with the Rape Crisis Network to form the Other Half Alliance, which is driving this campaign today and launching this campaign. We had already looked at the White Ribbon Campaign as a men's organisation and thought this is something that we should take on, men taking responsibility against violence against women. And in talking to Safe Ireland and the Rape Crisis Network, discovered that they had already taken it on, and a number of their centres had already launched the White Ribbon in Ireland in various local centres around the country, which was fantastic. And more of those centres are launching this same campaign in various localities around Ireland today and over the next 2 weeks, when the 16 days of action against violence against women take place in Ireland. It's important to say that all of our 3 organisations are totally against violence, as Sharon has so well laid out there. And this campaign is set in the context of all violence against anybody in any part of Ireland. And Micheál Mura Hurtig, who is here today, has been very clear about this, that this is the context we need to be talking from. It's also important to say that CUSC, and Emer Fisher, the director of CUSC, is here, and that's the Office for Domestic, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence in Ireland. And CUSC set out that this is also about all violence, and this the particular piece we're working on today is violence against women. In their review of what's happening internationally when CUSC was first set up, they found, by reviewing what's happening across the world, they found that violence is a global health, human rights and developmental problem, and it's well worth keeping that in mind. So there are many levels of violence in Ireland, and many varieties of it, but today it's about violence against women, and I think it's important to be really clear about the sort of thing we're talking about here. It could be remarks against a woman by a man, it could be harassment, it can be sexual assault, rape, domestic violence, sexual abuse, kidnapping, sex trafficking, prostitution, torture and death. This is an incredibly serious issue. It's these, when I read that list, I feel sick. I want to give you a ray of hope though. Our office is based in Waterford and in the southeast. And I was in a shopping centre there recently and I saw 5 or 6 young men and a young woman walking along. And they were in great form and they were bouncing along together. And one of the young men from the edge said something disparaging about the young woman, and immediately the other young men, they made a sound. It was amazing. They just made this sound of disapproval and said no, just instinctively. It was absolutely instantaneous and spontaneous. And the young man who said it withdrew, and he withdrew his remark. And it's interesting to see the young woman. As the remark was made, you could see her looking at the other young men, and when they rallied around her, you see her coming back into a relaxed place with them. So they were all just young people together again. It was absolutely beautiful. I just found it very, very moving. And it's a model for what we can do at the most simplest level, that if we remember as men what our instincts are to do right, and to know that we don't want women treated in that way. And that's at the most simplest level, and also at the deadliest level of that list that I have just read to you there. This list does make me sick, and whenever I look at it and read it, I feel it in my stomach, right in my core, right up through my body, and for some reason in the back of my arms, and my mouth goes dry, and I want to withdraw from it because of that effect on me as a man. And I feel in some ways, I don't want to have anything to do with this, but it's so awful. But I think that we've got to, as men, and I say this particularly to the men here today, these feelings are good reminders to us. They're horrible reminders, but they're good reminders to us, and they're good for us to connect with, so that we're aware and conscious of actually what the effect of violence is on women who experience it. So it's important that we keep that connection in our core. The other half alliance is hard work. And it should be hard work, because these are very, very hard issues we're dealing with. All of the issues and all of those feelings and all of the fears that go with violence against women come into the room when we sit together as three organisations. Because they're so upsetting, because we have to be so careful about them, and because we have to therefore be so careful with each other. And also as a men's organisation sitting with the other two organisations, we need to be very careful. I want to say that the women that we're sitting with in the Other Half Alliance have done decades of this work. And it's just been absolutely tremendous work, and women have had to lead out on this for decades, and for some reason it's been seen as a women's issue. But when you think that men are the perpetrators within that, it's actually seriously a men's issue, and as men we must take it on and take that role in sorting it out and ending it. We've reached out to a few good men here who have turned up for us today as key men in Irish society to wear the white ribbon and stand up against violence against women. We want to reach out to all good men in Ireland to support this campaign. Thank you very much.